to do some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah, hope I get away with it. Oh, doo-dah, day.
Hi there, I'm Dan Hallfield, and welcome to Last Man Standing. At the moment, I have exactly no idea how I'm going to even attempt to compete with Stupid O'Clock tonight. I'm not sure that it's even possible or that I should even try. But with me tonight, we have absolutely nobody yet because Carl and Don have gone to bed. Dawn is on her way to bed. Thesis might pop in. Nick Tuckert might pop in. Mike Jimmy might pop in. It's just, if I have to sit here and monologue, then I'll just sit here and monologue for a little while and then play some commercials and then go watch more Commando Cody, Sky Marshal of the Universe. Yes. Evidently, that was the one that I remember seeing as a child in East Tennessee. And everything, all the memories are coming back. I'll see all the things, and then I think I got like 3 more episodes of that left, and then I will have to start on the last Rocket Man serial, which is Zombies of the Stratosphere. Confusing that with a book, Zombies of the Gene Pool, which is a very, very good book. But in any case, the 4th Rocket Man serial actually has a very, very young Leonard Nimoy is a guest star. He is a Martian invader, which, from all accounts, he tried not to draw on for Mr. Spock when Star Trek came open. So, hey, um, to be honest, there's a big difference between the two parts and the way he played both parts. Um, Nimoy seemed to have a chameleon factor to his acting ability. I've never seen any two different characters in anything that he has ever portrayed in different shows or different movies that were the same. He always gave his all to trying to make each character individually recognizable with their own strengths and weaknesses and foibles and gifts. It's just hey, oh, well, thank you, Nick. Thank you. Yeah. I'm not usually too bothered about like, share, and subscribe, but you know, it would help if more than a dozen people knew I existed in this particular uh venture. But it's never going to be as famous as Aphelion, and no, I'm not going to click back over and play an Aphelion ad right now. I do that uh, on my own often enough. Good night, Dawn. Go get you some sleep. Thesis says good night, Dawn. And Thesis also joins me.
Hello.
Yeah. Your show tonight was endlessly fascinating.
Good.
And I was very well, I wasn't surprised that you'd heard of Yoko Kano and the seatbelts, but um, I hope you are pleasantly surprised by Yellow Magic Orchestra. They are um, very reminiscent of early Tangerine Dream.
Okay.
I don't remember them having very many vocals, but the synthesizers playing against one another
Okay.
was really, really masterfully done. They did not get very many sales over in the southeastern United States. They don't get very much mention. But then uh, when I was uh, exploring lots and lots and lots of people who were doing synthesizer only bands,
Mm-hmm.
uh, only Kraftwerk got the big notice, and then you had Tangerine Dream, which, hey, if you're in the know, you'll check out these German guys. And then there are lots of um, I went through a large swath of record collecting where I would, if it was synth oriented, I would pick it up and give it a listen. If it was good,
Yeah.
I go and try and find something else they did and buy that too. And I mean, um, yeah, Keith Emerson, Rick Wakeman, very good. They can do just about any style on anything that they want, and might you know they might have an entire laundry list of synths that they play, and then with their left hand, uh, yeah, that kind of thing. And then you've got groups that are, hey, I've got a synthesizer. Hey, I've got a synthesizer. Hey, the next door neighbor has one. Hey, this guy down at the street has one. Let's get together and make a band. And they'd call themselves something funky, and
Yeah.
there you go. And there were a lot of, I do believe there were a lot of German groups that went that route. Some of them with guitars and bass and drums, as well as synths and vocalists, and some of them without many vocalists at all. Maybe there was one band called Colosseum, and then they reformed into Colosseum 2. They usually only had one, maybe two tracks on each album that actually had vocals. The rest of it was all instrumental. And they would just tear up the stage in live performances without saying a word. Just boom, you're right there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. There were a couple of others that I wanted to mention on your show, but it's really hard for me to remember. Uh, I mean, I didn't have a region specific focus.
Yeah. Well,
If it,
neither did I really. I mean, I India, Mongolia. I was kind of going most of Asia with all of that one.
yeah, the ones that I was listening to the most were um, Great Britain, Germany,
Yeah.
uh, a few from the U.S. that were just outstanding. I mean, Larry Fast and Synergy. I am not worthy. Um, seriously, um, Larry Fast is basically the well, I hate to say the Alice Cooper of United U.S. Uh, synth composers. Wendy Carlos. Um, the list goes on and on and on. I- I've got 500 vinyl albums in the living room from my college years. I did have 600, but I was married at one time.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Hello.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're talking about music. You'll be bored to tears.
Yeah, well, I lost count after 700 and something CDs.
Yeah. I've got far fewer than that many music CDs. I've got a shelf of cassettes that are probably demagnetized by themselves by now, and
My
I've
cassette
got
tapes.
a metric Canadian ton of digital downloads of stuff.
Zach and Don would be impressed.
Oh,
I don't have my cassettes are probably ruined because their exposure to extreme heat and cold.
Mhm.
And I do
mine
have
would be ruined from extreme age.
well that too, and I do have a lot of my mom's 33s and 45s. And I even have a good selection of her 8-tracks.
I have one of the finest records I have ever stolen from my parents.
My friend, one of my younger friends, he's maybe between 5 and 10 years younger than me, was amazed that my mom had a Conway 28 track that had never been opened out of the packaging.
You're kidding. Oh,
Nope.
we are now promoted on X and Blue Sky. Good Lord, Nick. Thank you.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, I have a Twitter account, but I never think to add it to our list of broadcastable channels for
Yeah.
because I never look at it anymore.
Yeah.
I got on there
You're on
and
autopilot.
well, I started looking at it and I'm going, oh wow, yeah, I love that actor. Oh, that actress. Oh, this celebrity and oh that, and I find out, oh God, they're really horrible people.
Yeah.
And I just go, I don't have all day to sit and read limited tweets. You
Yeah.
know, it's not like Facebook where you have damn near an unlimited character count. You've got a character limit for these
Well,
other things.
I
And
jokingly say Instagram is for people who can't type much.
one of my daughters does really well with photographs, believe me. Oh,
Mhm.
I would like to send out well wishes to um my stepdaughter, Lindsay's youngest daughter. Not going to put her name out here where people can
Mhm.
try and look her up, but she fell badly and broke her ankle.
Mm,
And yeah, uh,
hope she
happened
heals.
to my dad once too. Um, yeah, she's going to be hurting for a while. Lindsay's going, it's too close to Liberty Con and everything else. I can't go to New Mexico and be with my daughter like I really, really, really want to because we've had these tickets and hotel rooms reserved.
Mhm.
And quite frankly, I can't be trusted in a hotel full of pretty girls without my wife as a chaperone. So, uh, yes, I could. Done
It'd
it.
just be harder.
Mm-hmm.
No pun intended. No, it wouldn't.
I got to go get something to drink. I'll be right back.
You met my wife. You know I'm never going to stray.
No, there's no
I've
reason.
already got the best there is.
Yeah, there's no reason for you to.
Sorry, Foxy.
Hey, Bladed didn't do too bad for himself.
Hell no.
Especially after seeing the video I posted to the Secret Humor group, I think I upgraded pretty well. Thank you very much.
Yes, you upgraded very well.
Definitely. Um,
And unlike
you
her,
got
she
to,
can.
you got to keep clicking that. No, I do not want to upgrade at this time button.
Mm-hmm.
And on the bright side of things, she actually can make money with her talents
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
because she's a crafting guru.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And if you have
And
coins, she has wares.
and one of these days, somebody's going to convince her to do voice acting, and she is going to rake in some money because she has a beautiful voice.
I've been telling her that pretty much since we got together, but
Well, and not to say that she's not beautiful, without ever
I,
hearing her voice.
I started to say, hell, if they see her hair and her eyes, they're going to be hooked.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I mean, the voice is
but
just icing on the cake.
believe me, first time I heard her commercial, I was going, "Oh, why hasn't somebody signed her to a voice acting contract already?"
I know
Oh,
several people that could do good with voices. Unfortunately, one of them wears his emotions on his sleeve and he gets himself in trouble because of that. But he's got a great voice.
that happens. Um,
All right, let me go get something to drink. I'll be right back.
sure. I knew a guy that was into audio productions quite a bit, and asked friends to send him little bits and snippets of different voices that they did, and I sent off a few samples of different accents and voices and characters that I could do, and he's going, "Why the fuck aren't you in this business already?" And I'm going, because I wouldn't have time to write.
Yeah.
That's the same reason that I don't narrate more of my own stories and put them up there, because that would leave me with a production time of recording something and uh, snipping out all the spaces and ums and ahs,
Mm-hmm.
and then putting it into a usable file and trying to find some, even if it is a still photograph accompaniment. Thank you, Nick Tockert. You gave me a chance to do that with the old Dan story. That I pulled the accent from my childhood in Appalachia. My family, my elder family at that time, yes, um, they had that voice, that accent that I could do, and the old Dan story came out really well as an audio. I
It
did
really
not
was.
expect it to, but it did. It really did.
It was really well done. I was really impressed.
Well, I do my best, but like I said, I can't I can't turn that into a regular thing without neglecting carpentry, plumbing, gardening,
Mm-hmm.
writing, everything else that I need to get done around here. Um, and editing and publishing Aphelion, editing the short stories, doing the cover art, uh, paying for the web space, which is basically all it is for me for publishing is, hey, I've got a wallet. What do you want?
Hmm.
Uh, um, but I have managed to parlay that into um, being welcome at several conventions just for Aphelion,
Mm-hmm.
and Hallowcon for being who I am.
Hmm.
Yep.
Um, uh, we won't go into that. It Nick will think it's self depreciation, and it's not. Um, I do what I do. I'm good at what I do. Um, actually, I'm quite good at most of the things that I do, and the things that I'm not as good at, I can get better at if I were willing to devote the time to it. But my priorities are I am of an age in retirement, and I will say I have stories I need to either begin or complete before I shuffle off this mortal coil. Because once I'm gone, nobody's going to have access to the inside of my head. All they're ever going to see is what I've managed to scribble down as notes for something.
Yeah.
And a lot of that only means something to me because I'm hitting, hey, this character, this situation, this location, this is the plot. Um, work on this later because I've got so many irons in the fire. I think I've got like uh, 15 unfinished works going at the moment,
Mhm.
and only 3 are serious projects. The rest of them are, well, when I get bored with doing this, I'll do that.
Mhm.
We will proceed on that basis. Um, I've got to finish the fantasy story. That's the next thing I officially have scheduled. And then I get to get out my paintbrushes and a canvas and do the cover art for that story. I've already promised it to my publisher. It's got to be done. He's got two of my other things that are finished and ready for review and being handed over to an editor that can tell me, oh,
Mhm.
you lost the thread in this chapter, but you picked it back up in here. Let's see if we can bridge the gap. That sort of thing. Uh, but, just because I'm aware of my limitations, and my limitations are not my talent, which is infinite, I have yet to explore all of it. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean that I'm fantastic, but I'm pretty damn good. It just means that there are things that I wish I had learned how to do that I haven't learned how to do yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Blacksmithing, I would have learned how to do if I'd had a chance to apprentice myself to anybody um, in my area. Um, I would be good at that because it's a form of design as
Mm-hmm.
well as sculpture as well as practicality. Those are all strong suits in mine. To be able to combine all of that with heating white hot and then beating the crap out of it when I'm in a mood. Uh,
Oh, it's fun. A couple of
yeah.
years ago for Christmas, my dad bought me a little weekend workshop with a guy like a half hour away from me, and
Yes.
that's
Abs-
all me.
absolutely. Full tang, riveted.
Yep,
Yep. Oh, all I had to do is look at it. I could already tell. Um,
that is a thick spine too.
yes, it is. Um, and that thick spine would come in handy with a ferro rod if you were camping and needed to start a fire with a ferro rod, as long as you were able to make the little bird's nest or tinder bundle or find some fat wood and scrape shavings off or whatever, or had any of the um, myriad different ways to start a fire. I've got a couple of flares back here for emergencies. I mean, if I was if I was caught somewhere in a pouring rain, one of those things would start a fire real quick, even,
Mhm.
even in a hurricane. But you know, um, I used to be into
Does
I used to be into primitive camping, and I'd go down to the bottom of Tallulah Gorge with some friends of mine. May they rest in peace. Neither one of them are still with us now. And we just hang out down there and have a great time and cook and um, wander around behind the little animals and kind of, uh, relax and decompress from the world above the canyon.
I am fading fast. I believe I'm going to call it a night. I hope y'all have a great night.
All right, you
I at
too.
least wanted to be a part of the show anyway, because
Yeah,
I
Well,
haven't been able to
Chris, you're
attend it.
always welcome. You're always welcome.
I have a staff meeting tomorrow, so that's another reason why I need to try and get some rest.
Yes, and let's see. Don will be in the staff meeting. Joe Dog, if he wakes up in time, will be in the
Yeah,
staff
he'll
meeting.
be in it. He told me to call him before, so and
Oh,
message him
okay.
before that, so he'll be in it. Uh, Glenn should be, and Ruth, and maybe a few others.
Well, if Megan shows up, give her a hug for me.
I will do it. She said she would try to, but she wasn't sure yet, so we'll see what happens.
All righty.
Thesis, you have a great night and the rest of your weekend. You too, Dan. Until
you
next time, take care.
I will do my best.
too.
That's all we can do. Until next
Let's
time. Bye.
let's see. I'm trying to find the last time I messaged Nick. There we go. We will try this, and I'll send him the link to this. But he probably won't join because he is an adult and he does have responsibilities.
Yeah.
Uh, well, it's life. These are the burdens that we must bear to be able to enjoy the things that we enjoy.
Hmm.
Sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do, like go to bed early and be responsible when we really like to stay up all night and just party and jabber and talk and just carry on like there was never going to be a tomorrow. But unfortunately, tomorrow always has a way of arriving. There you go, Nick. If you're still. What did I do wrong? Uh, let's see. There we go. Evidently, I hit the wrong key on the keyboard. Uh, it happens. I am not by any means infallible. Uh, oh God, I need a haircut real. We got to
So
go
do I.
to LibertyCon in 11 days, and Lindsay is working convention staff uh, in the uh, in the con suite.
Nice.
So, well, um, because she is so personable and she works so hard at any tasks she undertakes, they want her to be consuite. So, uh, with all the perks that go with that, I mean, seriously, uh, that And it's just she worries so much about things that happened in the past and will never happen again that she works herself into a, I don't know if I want to do that. And then she winds up having a great time. And sadly, waist deep in trying to clean up for guests as I receive a new desk to help rearrange my study. Well, hey, congratulations on the new desk.
Yes.
And so he has to work. Okay, well, it's all right. I'm quite certain we can entertain people for a little while longer, and then
Yeah.
if we get tired of it, we just go. Good night, everybody. Watch Dawn waving her little rainbow covered sock puppet and get out of here.
Yeah.
Kind of expected Paul to show up, but then again, he's been going through some stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, please, let me kill the browser-based Facebook. I usually only look at Facebook on my iPad where the reins are much tighter. Not so much garbage. Still garbage, but not so much.
Yeah.
Although they do keep trying to show me TikTok videos of girls trying on transparent tank tops or whatever, and I'm going, look, I'm old, I'm not blind. This is just way beyond the community standards. Facebook shouldn't be showing me this. But no, evidently, Facebook goes, hey, if it gets us views, we don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Double standards much?
Just a little bit.
Yeah. I spent a good part of today going through YouTube videos for channels I'm subscribed to. Most of them concern canal boats in England, or people that used to be on canal boats in England, but still have their channels going, doing their stuff after they've moved off the boats. Or there's one girl, she is actually raffling off her canal boat for £5. And she will choose which contributor of which £5 gets to own the boat she now lives on.
All right.
And she is trying to finance having a boat custom built to her needs.
Wow.
She needs about 60 grand.
Mm.
Her boat is valued at 50 grand. Resale value right this minute, as is where is. And it does need a little bit of tender loving care, but not an awful lot. It's beautiful inside and out. She has a wood-burning kitchen stove that heats the entire boat. And it's a very, very famous, very antique brand that if you could find one, it'd be worth a bucket load of cash.
Yeah.
And the interior is in great shape. She's done wonders with it. She has um, redone all the windows. They're not double glazed like you would actually need for the climate in England to reduce moisture inside. Um, there's a lot of condensation with single glazed windows in boats because a foot, 2 feet of it is underwater, cold water, and it does draw moisture. There's a lot of condensation on the windows. Um, most folks have these little bitty battery operated vacuum cleaners with an external tank, and they just vacuum the water off the windows, that all the condensation, and then pour it back in the canal where it came from. And,
Turn to sender.
yeah. Hey, it works. It's I think the motor is a 3-cylinder diesel. Most canal boats have diesel engines.
Yeah.
If they're teeny tiny, they might actually have a gas-powered outboard rather than an inboard with a drive shaft that goes out the back. There's lots of maintenance you have to do on these things. You have to make sure that the seal between the water outside and the engine compartment does not start leaking. Otherwise, your boat sinks.
That would be an issue. You don't want your house to sink.
No, you don't want your house to sink. But basically, they use a I can only think of it in terms of farm equipment. It is um, a non-sealed bearing. It is mostly sealed, but it's not completely, totally imperviously sealed. So every day before you start the engine and move on, you have to pump it full of grease, which closes off any path for water to come in. As you run the engine, that grease gets heated up and drips out and thins out. The next day, you've got little teeny tiny drips of water coming in. This is why you have bilge pumps to squirt the water back in the canal where it came from. Well, I mean, seriously, it's not rocket science, but it's kind of like owning a Harley Davidson. You know how the old Harleys would leak oil anytime they weren't running because they had to be at operating temperature for everything to expand and not leak. Same sort of thing. And then as part of the deal, there are free places to moor up your boat on the side of the canal. Some of them are 24 hours. Some of them are 48 hours. Some of them are a week. Some of them are 2 weeks. But at the end of that time, you have to move on down the canal someplace a measurable distance, because the people that run the Canal and River Trust have people going up and down the sides of the canals going, okay, BR549 has been here for 6 weeks. Oh, wait, though, they told us their engine is broken down. It's all right. Yeah, or somebody's got COVID, or somebody's got a medical issue and they have to stay close to their only doctor that they can get appointments with because they don't have a fixed address. They live on a boat. There are. It's not a hard and fast rule, but you only have to move about 20 miles a year if you do it right. But most people try and get 10 to 14 miles every time they drive. And at 2 miles an hour, which is the usual speed, 4 miles an hour is the speed limit. That's as fast as you're allowed to go on a canal. On a river, if your engine can do it, you can haul it. I mean, flat out. But on canals, if you go too fast, you risk pulling boats that are moored up on the bank away from their moorings, or you risk damaging the banks themselves and causing it to cave in and the canal to drain out into the neighboring farmland. So you don't want to go too fast. You're trying to respect nature as well as the constructions of mankind, as well as your fellow boaters. It's not like Florida where you don't care as long as you get past them before they sink. Yeah. I could probably talk about canal boats for days on end and never repeat myself. It's a fascinating. Excuse me. Not bad manners, just good alcohol. It's a fascinating subject. I originally approached it doing research for a story. I wanted to have one of my characters living on a canal boat in England. So I started looking it up and I started watching the videos and I'm going, why doesn't America have something like this so I could buy me one? I mean, basically, once you have the boat, even if you've got a mortgage on it and it's not fully paid for, the actual yearly living expenses are like 10% of what it costs to live in a town.
Damn.
And about 5% of what it costs to live in a major city. That doesn't mean it's cheap by any means whatsoever, but comparatively, I don't see why 90% of England isn't living on canal boats, you know? And there are marinas, just like we have marinas here for people that have cabin cruisers or whatever. I mean, pay your mooring fees and you get shore power and you get a connection to a water spigot where, you know, you don't have to cruise out and fill up your water tank or whatever. depending on what style of toilet you've got. You might have to unhook and go to a pump out station, or you might have to take your toilet cassette to a place where you can empty it and rinse it out, and or there's even a composting one, which is getting much more difficult to accommodate now because there are very few places that are taking composted toilet waste as a legitimate refuse. And then there's one that is propane powered that actually incinerates the waste. And you only have to take the ash in a teeny tiny bag, and it's you can dispose of that in any normal trash receptacle along the path. But yeah, it it's complicated. I know entirely too much about it. I talk about it entirely too much. It's fun. Um, if we had something similar over here, I believe I would have found my retirement home. But we don't have almost anything like it.
No.
The Erie Canal is still in existence, but it's a totally different prospect, totally different rules. Inland waterways, yeah, you can navigate that. That's even for quite a large boat, you can navigate that. Up and down the Mississippi or the Missouri or any other big river, you can do that. You can go through lots and lots of connected lakes that the Tennessee Valley Authority has got in and around Tennessee. But as far as being able to traverse 90% of the country on a boat, the U.S. is kind of too big for that, too varied a climate, and not built that way. We went towards railroads and highways rather than canals and waterways. I think we shot ourselves in the foot with that one from a fun
probably.
standpoint. Alcohol abuse. I dribbled. No, there are some nights when it doesn't matter how many painkillers I take. The arthritis still goes. Remember me? I ain't going nowhere. Most days, the weather must be changing. We must have another storm front coming in about 2 days, maybe 3 days, because I can feel it. You know, that old saw about old folks being able to predict the weather by how much their bones hurt it's true. It's totally true. And it goes for anybody that's had a major injury and had some surgical repair done to that, especially if you've had to have non-biological parts installed. Yeah, my brother's got a few plates and screws in one hand. My dad had plates and screws in one ankle. I've got a couple of titanium screws in one knee. Believe me, I get a 3-day warning of every major storm coming through. I don't. It works even when I don't feel the pain yet.
Hmm.
I'll get up. I'll be getting dressed. I will notice the long healed scars over the surgery will have suddenly, instead of being flat and smooth, they will have developed little bumps
Hmm.
that you can see. I mean, it doesn't hurt, like I said. This is pre-pain level, but they are visible as swellings, and it's all due to changes in air pressure and stuff like that. Because used to, my sinuses would tell me about an hour before a rainstorm, but this 3 days early, I'm going, I know those are not mosquito bites. That's where the screws went in. It's gonna rain day after tomorrow, day after that, and it's never wrong. Sometimes it doesn't rain as badly as I thought it would, but that's because the storm died out before it got this far. But the air pressure changes made it this far way before the storm.
Mm-hmm.
People who suffer migraines can also achieve this little magic trick that I'm quite sure we all wish we didn't have access to.
Yeah.
Um, Actually, I think you're probably fairly lucky. The weather out in Utah is kind of stable.
Most of the time, yeah. I mean, there's been a couple of times where we get snow in, late March, but for the most part, it's pretty well, leveled out. So I can usually tell when things are going to change.
Yeah, but you don't get torrential rains from April to September. Um,
No, that usually happens either in September itself or end of September into October.
but I am guessing that you also have a tornado season that you've got to worry about as well.
Not really.
It's not that bad.
No.
Okay, good.
I think we had one like mini tornado that like picked up our trampoline when I was still living with my parents when I was a teenager. It's more the very, very occasional earthquake or just lots and lots of wind. It's just windy like all the time.
Why am I trying to remember whether or not they had to check the weather on the Bonneville salt flats for the high-speed car tests? I mean, land speed records were set there. It has to be fairly stable as far as weather, because
Yeah.
a good stiff breeze in the wrong direction, when a car is traveling beyond the sound barrier,
Mm-hmm.
would really ruin somebody's run. Um, if you're traveling almost 800 miles an hour, you don't want a good stiff breeze to lift the front
No,
end of your
no.
car off the ground. Um,
And it definitely does get pretty windy during the late spring and kind of into early summer most of the time.
I think a couple of sci-fi writers have used that seasonal uh, wind phenomenon as part of developing the uh, the weather patterns on alien planets that they made up.
Hmm.
Yeah,
All right.
Larry Niven has one where um, the rotational pole of the planet actually points at the star rather than up and down. So as it goes around uh, seasonally, it's got a little bit of polar tilt, but not much. Um, when the planet is rotating sideways towards the sun rather than pole on towards the sun, there's a buck of a lot of wind.
Hmm.
They're going, oh, those deserts out there, they're just crying out for ornamental plants. And then during the off season, the 700-mile-an-hour winds tear all the plants out of the ground. So we just build cities underground and never go upstairs.
There
That's
you
why we're all albinos, because they never see sunlight. Um, there are others. Um, there's one. Um, I think Larry Niven came up with this one. It's an egg-shaped planet, and it's huge. So the North Pole and the South Pole actually stick outside the atmosphere. And then the further you get towards the equator, the more temperate it gets until you actually find two habitable zones. And then when you get to the equator, because it's such a huge planet,
Hmm.
the atmosphere is like Venus. It's just thick and impenetrable and hot. So you've got these two little rings around the ends that are perfectly fine. You can build cities, you can have a perfectly normal life there as long as you can put up with twice, maybe 2.5 times the gravity of Earth,
Yeah.
which causes heart problems because human bodies were not evolved to deal with 2G, 2.8G, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, and then in the middle, you've got the life that evolved on the planet, which is basically um, whale-sized slugs.
Yeah.
No, And they're intelligent. They are sentient creatures. They have their own civilization. They have their own writing. Um, but they were engineered by somebody else billions of years ago. And when the engineers died off, they were left on their own, and they just went, well, all we can do is cruise around on this ocean full of foamy yeast and eat that. Maybe we should study astronomy or something here. Oh, but it's too cloudy. Well, we'll think of something. And yeah, Larry Niven is a fantastic writer. I highly recommend him. I can't say where to start. I really can't. He's got several different. I don't want to call them pocket universes, but he's got several different playgrounds he can write in, and he allows other people, to write in some of those playgrounds as long as they don't break the equipment. They can't destroy the playground, but it's all fun stuff. Larry's probably, oh God, he's close to 90 now. He's probably not going to be writing too much more of his own stuff, but he'll pass on ideas to other writers and go, hey, I can't do this, but I'll look over your shoulder while you do, and I'll give you hints and tips and show you some tricks. And, hey, it works out just fine. Oh, I just realized one of my main problems with talking about writers that I like is most of the ones that I like the most are no longer with us. Yeah, I mean they were there. They were producing books every year when I was growing up, but now that I'm an old guy, I've outlived them.
Yeah.
And not too many people write in those styles anymore. Although I attempt to from time to time. And when I do, it's pretty damn clear that it's an homage. There's that word again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do try and pay respect to those particular universes that I borrow things from.
Yeah.
Oh God, I owe Fred Saberhagen a big debt. I owe Brian Daly a big debt. James White. I will have to say I owe Arthur C. Clarke a debt as well, but mostly in the subtlety I use for romantic themes. It's sort of, this is not really important to the action of the story, but hey, they want to get it on, so let's just suggest it and draw the curtain and go on to the next scene. That's the style I write in. Whereas Aunt Donna's looking at me going, that could have been hot, but you chickened out. Sorry, out of my comfort zone. Believe me, if I wanted to write penthouse forum letters, I probably could have, but I have the vocabulary. I just don't have the interest.
Yeah.
I mostly I write adventure stories,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes there are. As a matter of fact, in the better ones that I write, there is a romantic angle, but it's very 1940s, 1950s sort of idealized romance rather than 1990s. The only thing that keeps us from being porn is that the door's closed. There aren't assistants. Uh, seriously. Yes, I've got a copy of the Kama Sutra. I know about assistants. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
somebody got to hold your leg up when you're in that position. Otherwise, you're going to fall down.
You're gonna tear something.
And if they're not careful, they're going to tear something of yours. Or if they're mad at you because you mistreated them,
That
make a
too.
wish.
Ugh.
Hey, I I did not say that I could not think of these things. I just said I couldn't write them.
This is true.
Oh, believe me, if I ever cut loose and wrote a horror story, it would either be a great hit or people would be demanding that I got locked up as a menace to society.
Yeah.
You can't think of these things without having actually done them. And I'm going,
Yes, you can.
yeah, I can.
Oh yeah.
I'm a high functioning sociopath. I can do anything I want. Thankfully, what I want is not for anybody to know I exist except for this stuff. I'm surprised I didn't adopt a nom de plume when I first got started. Then that would give me perfect anonymity. Oh, God, I said that right after 2 shots of whiskey. Good
Yeah.
Lord. I do believe the kind of horror that I am comfortable with is say the classic Universal monsters,
Mm-hmm.
Frankenstein, Wolfman, Dracula. Well, Dracula was not Universal, but
Yeah.
Hammer. Thank you, Christopher Lee. I don't think Universal did the Bela Lugosi Dracula, but I could look that up if I really gave a shit. It, yeah. Although another director used the same script in the same sets, but filmed Dracula with different actors in Spanish for Mexico. And it's actually supposed to be from the edits that were done to Lugosi's version and the edits that were done to the Mexican version. It's actually supposed to be even more of a horror story because you can get away with more stuff in Mexico than you can in the U.S.
Yeah.
Like that's a story that needs to be told. Yeah. Invisible Man, um, Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Mm-hmm.
That I like the whole series, but I the third one I think they really I can't believe I'm going to say this talking about a movie about an aquatic monster. They really jumped the shark on that one.
All right.
Oh, good Lord. If you watch the original Creature from the Black Lagoon, it's half monster movie and half unrequited love story between the creature and the lead actress. Because she doesn't know it exists, but he's going, oh, wow, mammals are hot. I want some of that. And people have done their not imitation, interpretation of a she creature.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's one of those, we got a bunch of teenagers playing beach blanket bingo here. And then all of a sudden, we've got our best interpretation of Creature from the Black Lagoon with breasts popping up and going, oh, I'm going to kill all these men because I don't have one.
Mm-hmm.
And then it finds one it wants to collect. 50s movies. Who wrote this stuff? I mean, Ed Wood only could type so fast. He couldn't have done everything. You are familiar with Ed Wood, I hope.
Mm-hmm.
Plan 9 and lots of other.
Mm-hmm.
This is so bad. It's wonderful. Yeah. Um, oh, there's one I never forgot. I don't know who wrote it, who produced it. Teenagers from Outer Space. With giant crawdads as the monster. And aliens with ray guns that turn people into skeletons. And the most wooden, inflexible actors playing the parts of the aliens. I mean, this is like, I'm being filmed for this movie and I'm going to pretend I'm taking the oral exam for my college dissertation, so I have to show no emotion whatsoever. it's all right if no emotion is in the script, but if
Hmm.
you're writing something that includes a romance between a teenage alien and a teenage Earth girl, somebody got to show some emotion somewhere, or it ain't gonna
Oh,
work. Uh, and here we digress into, hey, now we're getting into Dan's tips and tricks about writing. Um,
hold on. Let me get a note. Let me get something to write this down.
no, you already know what you're doing.
Most of the time, yeah.
Hey, um, you make your characters as realistic as possible. You put them in situations that may or may not be out of their control, whether they know it or not. Um, you give them some conflict so that they don't really know exactly how they should proceed
Hmm.
to achieve the aims that they already know they desire. And you give them a little bit of ambiguity as to whether or not, hey, if I do this, am I the bad guy?
Hmm.
Or am I the hero I think I am? And then you go, hey, and just in case, here's a cute girl you can fall in love with.
Who's usually a redhead.
Hey, no, I'm not Carl. Uh, I'm not. I'm not choosy. They most most of the girls I have my heroes fall in love with are uh, brunettes. Don't know why.
Hmm.
Um, Robert Heinlein had a thing for redheads, but then, hey, um, nothing wrong with any hair color whatsoever.
No.
Uh, that has nothing to do with it. It's got to do with the personality and the knowledge and the uh, I don't want to say education, experience,
Yep.
the real world experience of what people have gone through. Um, yeah. Um, Dad fell in love with a coal miner's daughter. Uh, Extraordinarily capable woman. Um, I've fallen in love with how do I extricate myself from this without because I am being recorded. I've fallen in love with women that reciprocated my attention, whether
Hmm.
they were good for me or not.
Hmm.
Thankfully, Lindsay is good for me. Um, Before that, it didn't work out, but um, wasn't always my fault, wasn't always their fault. Sometimes it was just circumstantial.
Yep.
You know, some personalities do react well to one another and some don't. Uh, mm. Smooth, Better be. I paid enough for it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to run down the hallway. If you would recap some of your show tonight, where you were talking about the different music that you enjoy,
Yeah.
and I'll try and not take too long.
All right.
But just monologue for a bit.
No, I
You
think I
can
can do
do
that.
it, and I'll be back in just a few.
All right. Let's see. I have very eclectic tastes when it comes to music, but I do listen to a lot of hard rock and heavy metal. So I really enjoy the Mongolian throat singing band, The Who. A lot of people know about them now, but when I first discovered them, they weren't terribly well known. Indian folk metal band called Bloody Wood, also exceptional musicians, very, very just genuinely good people. Last Successor is, I'm pretty sure, a band that not a lot of people know about. Jay Cho, Jackie Chan. There was a lot of things that honestly I didn't even really get into earlier that I probably could have talked more about. I could have gone more into some of the Japanese artists that I listen to. I just mentioned one, which, baby metal, just because it's fun. It's fun to listen to these cute little Japanese girls singing about chocolate while you have this really, really aggressive music in the background. It's just a really weird dichotomy that I just enjoy it. I'm weird that way. Talked a little bit about Jackie Chan, because the man is just an amazing singer. Started in Peking opera when he was a kid. And most of his Hong Kong movies he sings the themes for them. Just really, really good stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad you recovered that Jackie Chan began his career in the opera house.
Yep.
And at a very young age, he was trained to be a classical singer.
While also, learning to flip and kick and do all the other things that you would have to do on stage if you actually went and saw a Peking opera.
To beat the shit out of extras until the sacred cows come home. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The man exemplifies my philosophy of anything a human being can pick up is potentially a weapon.
And Sammo Hung does that a lot too. They both kind of came up in Peking opera together. So they have a lot of the same kind of philosophy when it comes to like weapons. And Sammo Hung did a fairly short-lived TV series in the, I don't want to say the mid-90s, where he played a Hong Kong detective who came over here to America, and like in the very first episode, he beat the crap out of a guy with an eraser, like a chalkboard eraser. That
You
scene
could hit really hard to hurt somebody with one of them.
You just have to hit him a lot.
Well, okay, yeah. Repetitive impact syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Lord, yes, I once broke something because I was pissed off, and I just did the I don't even know where I picked it up, probably some book somewhere, but this grip and just bam, 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 bam. I actually split a 2x4 in half, long ways.
That'll
I
do
was
it.
really pissed off at the time. Oh, thank God it wasn't a person. I
Mm-hmm.
still wouldn't have been out of prison yet. Good Lord. People don't know their own strengths.
Nope.
A lot of them think they know their own weaknesses, but they actually don't. And sometimes they can't tell the difference.
Sadly
That's,
true.
yeah. Oh, there was one thing I cannot remember who they are. It's a couple of little girl singers and a fairly decent band. They did the original Teen Titans animated series theme song. Puffy, I mean, Goomy or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember. I looked into some of the other stuff they did, and it was, except for the guitar player showing off, it was all pop music.
Yeah.
But, you know, Teen Titans theme was pretty fucking cool back in the day, when it was new. Before they went into the let's make all the characters balloon animals and make the script stupid. That's the thing with animated cartoons. When the scripts are serious and the actors play it serious, and the sound crew, the composers, everybody does it seriously, they can be amazing. But when it is, hey, this is for 4-year-olds so that they don't notice that their babysitter is watching Days of Our Lives. Let's just cut loose and make it silly. It can go belly up real quick. And astoundingly, or maybe not, you can find fans of both styles of the same show. This is for kids, this is for teenagers and young adults and old adults and comic book fans and anybody that's got two brain cells to rub together. Being able to make a spark with 2 brain cells, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
Better than let's not go there. That's political. I don't want to go there. You fill in the blanks is what you think I would say. Our dear viewing audience of what, 4 people? Well, no. Usually in a week or two, it's about 30 something. But, you know, um, I never tried to kid myself that this was going to be uh, a way for me to get monetized. And
No.
no, this is a way for me to have conversations with people I enjoy being with and have fun.
Mhm.
And talk about things that I don't get to talk about unless I'm actually at a convention surrounded by people that are fans of the same things that I'm fans of, and they're fans of things that are I have no idea what are, and they're willing to tell me about them and hopefully improve my education.
Always
Uh,
good things.
um, were you exposed to the classic Johnny Quest cartoons?
Mm, possibly a little bit, but not like a great deal. I remember vague things.
If you get a chance, look them up. They're very cinematically done. They're very serious while still having comedic elements. I mean, it's not like Scooby Doo where it's mostly comedy, but you have some serious things. With Johnny Quest, it's mostly serious, but you have a few comedic moments. Um, it was one of those things that was done as uh, nighttime, primetime anime for adults and kids alike. So the scripts had to be engaging for a large age range. And it
Okay.
had to be something that would appeal to the parents as well as the children to keep the viewership up. Later on, after the first one was gone, I think it lasted 2 seasons. I do believe. I'm not sure. I'm not going to look it up. I don't care enough to be pedantic enough to look it up. Uh, it lasted more than 1 season, but when it went on to, oh, it's a cartoon. It's only supposed to be Saturday mornings for kids, or oh, it's only supposed to be on Cartoon Network because no one but children watches this. Meanwhile, Cartoon Network subscribers' median age was 54. Um, who'd have thunk it? But no, very good, very well drawn, very, yes, I will say very well animated. Um, general age group, engaging scripts, uh, not by any means aimed solely at children, because a lot of people got killed in those cartoons.
Yeah.
Now in the sequel series, they kind of went, this is for kids, which undercut the appeal. But that happens to a lot of things that go into sequels.
Hmm.
See, there was a direct sequel, and then there was a CGI animated. I don't want to call it a reboot. It was more of a continuation, but um, for CGI, excellent artwork, excellent, excellent voice work. They even got some of the original voice actors that were still with us to reprise some of their character voices. Um, Fairly decent scripts, more fantasy than the science fiction it was before, but really effective, really, really effective. Well worth the investment of time to explore it at least once. Um, Surprised there was never a live action.
Hmm?
That would have been one of those things that would have been, I think, a Star Wars moment. A live action Johnny Quest. I mean, seriously, I don't know why someone, well, if they did think of it, that never got greenlit. And if
Mm.
they didn't think of it, shame on them. It should have been. Uh, it would have been one of those adventure shows that probably could have hit it off really big until the writers got tired of, oh, same thing over and over again. Uh, First 15 minutes, it's horror. Second 15 minutes, it's mystery. Third 15 minutes, it's plot twist.
Mm.
Fourth 15 minutes, it's let's tie up the loose ends. And yeah, um, live action gets kind of formulaic at
Yeah.
times, which is not necessarily a bad thing depending on the genre. I mean, you don't want space opera that isn't formulaic. Otherwise, it's not your father's space opera that you wanted to see, you know. It's not Gray Lensman. It's not uh, Skylark of Space. It's not, and I know those are both the E.E. Doc Smith. It's not your father's Tarzan, you know. Believe me, there are a lot of people that were pissed off when Tarzan was no longer Johnny Weissmuller, even though Ron Ely did a fantastic job. And then George Pal made the Doc Savage movie as a comedy, and the fans wept in frustration. Um, should have been done as a period drama, sort of like the early seasons of Ellery Queen. Perfectly serious, perfectly in period 30s, 40s, 50s, but occasionally a bit tongue in cheek. Not always, but occasionally. Those were good mysteries because they gave you all the clues, and at the end, the lead character goes, "Hey, we're about to wrap this up in the next act. You've got all the information I've got. You've seen everything I've seen. Who do you think did it? It was a very good approach. And it started off as a movie of the week sort of thing, along with McLeod and McMillan and Wife and other movie of the week things. Oh God, there was a crime-solving set of spinster sisters, not to be confused with Scissor Sisters, but you know.
That'd be a different show on a different network.
You really, the old ladies had better makeup. Let me tell you. I wish you could remember the title of that one, the name of that one, because it went on. It was a movie of the week. It went on for a while. There was one. I know I've got it. I know I've got it in my watch later. But it was actually sort of a not exactly D&D, but it was a logic puzzle piece where they had to go to different guest stars and get a clue to solve the puzzle. One of the guest stars I went to was Alice Cooper, and he got to perform sick things on national television. And then when they did the supervillain wrap up at the end, Alice was not included in the villains. He was just a clue, not one of the conspirators. Established Alice Cooper as a hero character, an NPC, if you were, and not one of the bad guys. Kind of like that. Alice Cooper writes some of the best love songs that anybody has ever written. I mean, seriously, the guy pours his heart out in some of these things. This is not just my opinion. My wife thinks so as well. The only other person I know with more complexity and nuance would be Frank Zappa, who is a whole nother level of what the fuck have I gotten myself into now? Frank did not care. If it rhymed, he would put it together. If it went from 4/4 to 32/68 time to 7/8 to God only knows, he'd write it down. He'd make it as sheet music and teach the band how to play it. And they would perform it live flawlessly, or he would make them do it again until they could. I have some sheet music for stuff Zappa wrote. And I can compare it to sheet music of Black Sabbath, for instance. Makes Black Sabbath look like Mary Had a Little Lamb. It is not simple. It is hideously complex, which is exactly what he loved to do. Hideously complex, multiple time signatures, multiple key signatures, change after change after change, very um I would I would say operatic
Hmm.
switches between different acts, different movements of a song. Very few people have that level of complexity that you just go, that's all one piece of music? Wow. Might have might have four different movements in it,
Hmm.
which sounds like four totally different songs, but they're all thematically intertwined. Um, Zappa is an incredible, well, was an incredible composer and musician. He was a very good guitar player. I still miss him. You can tell because I'm not getting used to the idea of him being dead yet.
Yeah.
And he's been gone for a while. Um, but, see, this is a rabbit hole Chris and I usually go down talking about music. Um, oh Lord. Uh, I don't know how familiar you are with Zappa.
A little
Um,
bit. Not that was kind of before my time. So
yeah, well, it happened to be beginning a little bit before my time, but my time was right in the middle of it. I
hmm.
mean, but he didn't do a whole lot. I've only got like 75 of his albums. Uh, and, he he has been an inspiration for me musically because of the complexity that he would put into things.
Yeah.
But it's nothing I could ever even attempt to duplicate because, for one thing, I don't have vocalists. For another thing, I can't write lyrics like that. Um, or I could, but I'd get banned from the county. Um, but it's fun. It's occasionally a little bit risque. It's occasionally a lot risque. And for Frank, there were no sacred cows. He'd poke fun at anybody at the drop of a hat. And if you didn't like it, tough. It still sold 1 million copies, so he didn't care. Um, well, that one died on me without me noticing. Ah, oh, we're only about 6 minutes away from the end.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Your next show is going to be 2 weeks from now.
Yep. 22nd.
All right. And you have yet to decide the topic.
Yeah, I have no idea. Something will come to me over the next couple weeks, hopefully.
All right. Um, for those of you who missed out, do look for the Tea House on Thesis's channel on
Yep.
YouTube. It was a very good show tonight. It's always a good show. Um, It's not only entertaining, but it is educational in all the good senses of those two words. Chris doesn't do anything on his own. He's just the power behind the throne of Hallowcon.
Yeah.
John doesn't have his own show, but believe me, if you need to know anything military, talk to John Scarborough and he will look it up and find it out for you. Nick Talkert in the chat has a show at least 3 times a week, and sometimes he will improvise when he's in the mood and have more. Dawn Dulas is one of our favorite. Shall we call her a publicity agent because she promotes people?
Yeah, that's probably a good way to look at it.
She finds folks and she goes, "Hey, you're really cool. I'm going to tell people about you," and there you go. Also, look up indycd.com for our merry band of independent creators and everything that we do. And that is continually updated by Joe Bachman, whom we owe a great debt to.
Very, very much.
And look up The Rising Tide and Brian K. Morris, another mentor of independent creators right there. Fantastic writer. Do look up Carl Whitzman,
Definitely.
Donna Carly Carleen. Do look up Michaela Jade, especially if you like spicy stories, because Donna and Michaela are quite good at those.
Mm-hmm.
You believe me, guys, you might want to go put on some sweatpants before you read this stuff. Your blue jeans might get kind of tight on you. And which ignores the fact that I won't say that either one of them write mainly for ladies, because romance does not have to be that way.
No.
It's not bodice rippers from somebody that turns out a book every 35 minutes because they have a template that they file off the serial numbers and change the location and the costumes and the lead character names and just cut and paste the entire thing all over again. And believe me, there are world famous writers that do exactly that. They have like 7 individual stories and they change it up over and over and over again and milk that cash cow for all it's worth. NDCD, Rising Tide, that's not what they do. It's original, it's exciting, It's
Mhm.
non-formulaic. It is not any single genre.
Nope.
I mean, Amy Hale does not write like Michaela. Amy does not write like me. Aunt Donna doesn't write like Uncle Carl. Thesis doesn't write like me. Foxy doesn't write like me. Richie didn't show up tonight. I got a story from him scheduled for next month's Aphelion.
Oh, nice. Well, I will definitely
Yes.
keep an eye out for that.
I hope that he has finished all of his revisions on it. Otherwise, I'll have to do it all over again as the web page. But
Yeah.
it's a good story. It really
Okay.
is. And usually, when Richie sends me something, I don't have very many edits I need to make on it. Mostly it's just, I think you need a comma there.
Mm-hmm.
Hope you don't mind an Oxford comma, because I'm going to give you one right now. Believe me, if Aunt Donna sent me something and I go, oh, I think that is an Oxford comma, and I go, wait a minute, Aunt Donna wrote it. Nope. As is where is. She does not like Oxford commas. My wife is going, I will defend the Oxford comma to the end, to my last breath. This is the hill I will die on. And I'm going, honey, you grew up in the same town that Arthur Conan Doyle walked. Yeah. Believe me, I learned my usage of Oxford comma from Jules Verne, who would often start a sentence, continue it for 23 pages, and end it on a question mark. Long, drawn-out paragraphs. They make sense when you're reading the book, but they don't make sense when you're trying to edit the damn thing. It's like, hey, if you heard somebody read it, it would make sense. Yeah, but I can't find anybody that can read this. It's almost like George Lucas. You can't say this shit. You can only write it.
Yeah.
Nobody talks like that, which is why I recommend to any writer who's doing dialogue to say it out loud and see if anywhere in the sentence structure there are stumbling blocks. If you can make it sound conversational, the reader will not have a problem with it. It might be the most eloquent poetry on the face of the earth, but if people can't read it without stumbling over something, if it doesn't sound natural, they're not going to read it a second time.
Nope.
And they're not going to recommend it to their friends. And on that note, thank you for putting up with me for this long tonight, Thesis.
No, no problem at all.
Thanks to Chris for popping in, and Joe Dog for not interrupting us. And I'm going to have to hit the end stream here before he comes in and goes, "Are you asleep yet?" But as Chris is fond of saying, go good guys.
Transmission overload.
System will shut down. System will shut down. System will shut down.